It's good to be with you this morning, especially on Mother's Day. I've been gone for 3 weeks. I know some people are going to say, "You have?" So that's a good thing. Just to let you know, I have not listened to all of the messages that Brian and Josh and Todd did over the last 3 weeks. I'm grateful for them. It used to be when I first started with the church, way back, we were pretty small, and I would only bring in other people to preach that I knew I was better than them. It's true, because I wanted to come back and people say, "We're so glad that you're back." Now they come back and they say, "Oh, you're back." You know, and so, but that's good. I'm glad that it works out that way. And I just want to tell you, because I have had a chance to be in churches all the way down from in Houston to San Antonio, and Joni and I were actually visited some groups in Europe over the last 3 weeks and all too, and it is so good to be back at Stonebridge. It is. We were working with some people that have some struggles in the church too, and they were asking us about ours, and I said, you know what? I can't think of many. You know, I love being around the people at Stonebridge. I mean, for me, it's just a joy to come back. Now, of course, I've been gone 3 weeks. It might not be as much a joy for you, because I'm making up for it in 1 week, and no, I'm just kidding. I hope that you do enjoy it, especially on Mother's Day. But it is good to be back and to see you guys and to get a chance to speak to a lot of people and to bring a few words. I love Mother's Day. I talked to my mom yesterday, and I was just reminded about being a parent and being a mom. My dad passed away several years ago, but how much a mother sacrifices and how much she gives up to do what she does. And one of the reasons is because I started going back and looking at pictures of my mom. Because I remember when I was a teenager, maybe in college, I saw this picture of my mom and her 2 sisters. And they look like the Lennon sisters or the Andrews sisters or some Hollywood picture out of the 50s. I was like, wow, that was my mom? And my mom says, yes. I used to look like that before you guys came along. You know, that's and I thought, how much a sacrifice and how much, my mom gave and poured into my brother and my sister and I. In fact, my dad, I remember about 5 or 6 years before he passed away, I was talking about how grateful I was and how grateful my brother and sister were for all that they had done for us. And my dad, I still remember, because he would have these moments of just real honesty. He said, well, you need to go thank your mom, because she's the one that did it all. And I thought, you know what? I'm grateful that he says that and he acknowledges that, but some of it was part of a regret that he did not spend more time with us, and that mom, she did even his part. A lot of times he felt like that, and she gave so much to us. Interesting. I remember reading years ago, Billy Graham said the same thing, and he wished that he'd spent more time. And it's because when you pour your time into your kids, when you invest your time in your kids, you invest your time in the future. You do, don't you? Because they are going to outlive you more than likely. And they're going to outlive you in the things that they're capable of doing and what they have a chance to do that you didn't have a chance to do. My mom's parents were that way. My dad ended up, and I've told the story before, how he ended up in college, and he really realized it was God watching after him, because his parents had no inkling or no thought of sending my dad to college. My mom's parents, her dad was a mailman, a mail carrier, and her mom did not work. But they absolutely were determined that their kids, all of their girls, would go to college, and they did. And they did whatever they had to do, in their view, to give them a better life. Now, I know for a lot of people, they say, well, I don't know that my kids are going to have a better life in terms of stuff. Listen, give your kids a better life, not in terms of stuff, in terms of hope, right? In terms of what the future is all about. Give them a different understanding of life. And as I look back, that's what my mom did. My mom, she believed in us. She had great hope in us. She pushed us, absolutely. She encouraged us. She disciplined us, all because she wanted good things for her kids. And because of it, she was willing to sacrifice and give up, so much of her life to pour herself into us. And this is what you realize, and this is what I'm kind of getting to. I know you think, it took all that to get to this? Listen, have you called your mom? Because she did all this. And she did all this because she cares, because she loves you, because she wanted you to have good things and a better life. And when you call and you say thank you, it doesn't pay back everything, but it sure makes it a lot better for her to know, man, they do realize it. They do recognize it. Now, let me go ahead and tell you, parents, if you have kids, small kids, they're going to do a card for you and probably draw one in Sunday school or something like that, because the teachers are getting them to do that, just to let you know. And they will be sweet and they'll be really cute. And then when they get to teenage years, they will forget everything, right? Because that's just where they are. But later on, they will come back and realize, especially as they go through things, wow, just look at what my mom sacrificed and just look at what she gave up. Because now they're in that challenge to repeat and do the same thing, invest their lives into something bigger and better. Okay, so that's one sermon. Now, that was just kind of the intro. We're still in the book of James, and because of Mother's Day, here's what I want to talk about with you this morning. How do you make deep impressions then in your kids? And this works for dads as well. How do you make deep impressions in your kids? Because as I look at my mom's life and what she did, that's what she was trying to do. She wanted to know, and so she would dig herself, even in her time, and she still does, in her relationship with God, to say, God, I want to make an impression. I want to do something. I want to do my job. I want to invest my life. How do you make deep impressions in the lives of your kids? And so this morning, I want to give you here, it'll pop up on the screen, 7 things, or 7 seeds that plant deep impressions into your kids, that you want to plant deep into their lives that would make a difference. And all these come from the book of James with one other verse just kind of thrown in here. So here we go. First of all, here's the first thing you want to implant in your life, that God has great plans for your life. So what you want to teach your kids, God has great plans for your life. I mean, you may be my son or my daughter, my child. I may have this privilege of raising you, but the truth is, it was God who gave you life. And it was God who planned your life. And it was God who saw your life long before you were ever born, long before I was ever born. God saw your life and He understood your life. I would do this with my kids. I would tell them, because as a dad, I would want to say I'm always going to be there for them. But this is what I realized. I can't make that promise. I couldn't say I would always be there. I wish I could. So what I wanted to do is I want to make sure that they understood, but God will always be there. You have a Heavenly Father that will not leave you. He will not desert you. He has plans for your life. He will do everything He possibly can to get your attention and to build His plans into your life. And the greatest thing you can do is to give yourself to Him and to trust Him with as you go through your life and believe that God has great plans for your life. Here's what it says in the book of James in chapter 1. It says, so don't be misled. Isn't that a great phrase? I don't want you to be fooled, and I don't want you to be tricked, and I don't want you to miss this, dear brothers and sisters. Whatever is good and perfect comes down to us, say it with me, from God our what? Our Father. Yeah, and this idea of God being our Father means we're related. We came from Him. And so obviously, He has this great love for us. He says, who created all the lights in the heavens. It just shows His power. But He never changes or casts shifting shadows, because, in life, because there is light in the heaven, you can be fooled, as you see things. But He says, but I don't want you to be fooled about God. I don't want you to think that God has forgotten about you, or that God doesn't have plans for your life, or whatever you've done or whatever you've gone through. And listen, every child goes through things where they think, maybe God has forgotten about me. Maybe God doesn't care. Maybe God, maybe He can't use me or my life. In fact, let me tell you, if you have a child, and we certainly had one like this also, that is very complicit. In other words, they want to please you. And they will do whatever they can to make sure they match up to your expectations. and you think, they are just the perfect child, or everybody else thinks they're just, and you think, I don't have to give much to them. I don't have to spend a lot of time with them because they don't have struggles. You better wake up. Of course they do. All of us do. All of us struggle. Every child struggles. And even if you've got a child who is just, good all-American kid, you need to dig deep into their lives and spend time with them. Because all they're doing is they're pushing down their struggles. They are covering their struggles and trying to present to you a image or an idea of living that pleases you, which is a good thing, but it does not mean that they don't have struggles. In fact, one of the things I've noticed is the good kids many times become jealous and they become frustrated that the parent spends all their time with the kid that acts up all the time. Anybody got one of those? And you're like, hey, I would love to spend time with you, but your brother, right? I've got to go deal with him. And at some point, a resentment can build up because they have needs and struggles too. Just because they don't show up and just because they don't act out does not mean that they don't struggle. And the thing that you do with a child like that is you remind them, even though we have to go spend, more time with this child because of their struggles, listen, it does not mean that I'm not deeply concerned about you and what you're thinking and what you're feeling. And you sit and you talk to them, you say, tell me, what's going on? What's the part that I don't see that's there? Because they all have them. We had my firstborn, as I've said before, is a high achiever. And for a long time, people would tell us all the time, Jamie is just the perfect child, right? Until one day I came across her diary. And being a dad who honors her space and who, knows she should have her own, time of in her own, I have no right to, I picked it up and read it. And I was shocked at the pressure she felt, at the struggles that she went through, at how she felt like she had to perform and do all of these things. Now, my son, the second born is often, it works out this way. He was happy about that because he felt free. It's all on her. All the pressure's on her. And he knew my sister can handle it. She can do it, man. She can always do the right thing, always please. He felt free. And anytime anything went wrong, he would always be like, go to her, right? And so, he gets a lot of attention in the sense of, hey, don't do that. Don't, but a lot of times she doesn't. And every child understands that attention means love. Every child understands that. Every child understands that if you dig deep, it's because you care. I love to tell dads this. I will tell you this if you are a dad or if you become a dad one day. You may feel like a bull in a china shop trying to deal with your kids. You may feel, this is so uncomfortable. This is so difficult for me. I don't know how to go in and deal with their lives. Do it anyway. Be the bull in the china shop. Because they understand, even though it may be uncomfortable, that you love them. In fact, many times they understand that you love them because you are doing something that's so hard and so difficult to be involved and to listen to them and to talk to them. And every child wants to know, and the way they catch the impression that God loves them and has great plans for their life, first is because their parents get involved in their lives. Their parents try to lead them and guide them. Their parents have great plans, for their life. Like I said, my mom's parents had plans for her. He goes on to say this, verse number 18. He says, He chose to give birth to us by giving us, catch this, His true word. In other words, He wanted us to know the truth, and He wanted to change us by letting us know exactly what was right, what was true. And we, out of all creation, became His, say it with me, prized possession. Isn't that great? Your kids need to know, you need to plant deep in their life that they are your prized possession. They are the project that you work on. They're why you do the things that you do. They are how you give yourself and how you work in their lives. Okay, number two, this kind of comes from golf. The second thing you need to build in your life, plant deep, son, daughter, commit to the shot. Now, I know that's a golf term, commit to the shot. And it's not just commit to the shot fully, wholeheartedly. Let me tell you why this is such a big deal. We talk about doubts. James talks a lot about doubt. Don't doubt. Doubt is a feeling that you get. You're not sure. Doubt is natural. If you're a golfer, you're watching maybe the Inspirities going on right now, and if you go out there and watch on TV, what you'll notice is these guys are on national television, right? And they realize if they do something wrong, if they make a mistake, millions of people. What a wonderful thing, right? Would you like millions of people to see you make a mistake or see you, choke? I mean, I was just telling someone this morning when I came in, I have been encouraged about my golf game. I can do this because I saw Ernie Els at the Masters. You saw Ernie Els at the Masters? Miss 6 putts starting from 2.5 feet away. Just kept going and going and going. I thought, I can do that. I can be a professional golfer, right? Yeah, I can do that also. But what every caddy comes up to their golfer, and I love it because they do, you get to listen to them, walks up to the golfer they're caddying for, and they're not just carrying their clubs, they're trying to school them and build into them and get them to make the shot. And I love it when I hear them say this: look at the shot, envision the shot, commit to the shot fully. And they'll remind them, and I think, well, you said that last shot, but they remind them of commit to the shot fully. You know what that means? You've got to take the shot. You have got to overcome the feelings of doubt and struggle in your life and say, listen, I have those are real, but I'm committing to the shot. This is actually what James talks about when he says, don't be tossed back and forth because you don't get anything from the Lord. It's because you're not committed. You're not in. You're saying, well, I don't really want to take a chance. A couple of weeks ago, there's a pond behind my house, and we have these rubber kayaks, and they're inflatable. And Joe was over there with me, and I was trying to get in one, and so it was up against some rocks, and it's slippery and everything else, and so I've got 1 foot in the rubber kayak and one on the edge, and the kayak's moving, right? And the whole problem? I wasn't committed. I didn't want to get fully into the kayak because I wasn't sure. I had doubts, and I still wasn't fully committed to staying on the rock because I wanted to get in the kayak, and I'm just kind of caught in between, and so I'm going, help, right? Because it's getting wider and wider, and I can't stretch too far, and I'm like, and Joe's just watching me, He's saying, I'll pray for you, and I'm like, no, no, he did reach out eventually and help me. You want to teach your kids to be committed to the shot fully. They've got to take the shot. They've got to trust, even in the midst of their feelings of doubts and not sure, they've got to trust that God is going to be faithful, that God has great plans for their lives. And that means, is it risky? You bet it's risky. Does it mean I might be embarrassed if I fall? Not only will you be embarrassed when you fall, you'll probably fall at times, right? But you've got to be committed to the shot. This is the only way for you to learn. It's the only way for you to grow. It's the only way for you to experience and follow God's plan for your life. Because you've put your hope and your trust that God is going to be faithful, even if I fall in the lake, right? But I've got to be fully committed to the shot. Here's what it says in verse number 13 of chapter number 3. It says, if you are wise and understand God's ways, catch that. If you understand how God works, prove it by living an honorable life. That means commit to the shot. Doing good works with the humility that comes from wisdom. But if you are bitterly jealous, this is the opposite. This is the caught in the middle, If you are bitterly jealous and there is selfish ambition in your heart, don't cover up the truth with boasting and lying. The truth is, most people boast, lie. They do it to cover up the fact that I'm not sure which way I want to go. I'm not sure I'm totally in. I'm just straddling the fence. And he says in the next verse, for jealousy and selfishness, they're not God's kind of wisdom. Such things are earthly, unspiritual, and demonic. For wherever there is jealousy and selfish ambition, there you will find, catch this, say it with me, you will find what? Disorder and every kind of evil. You'll find the bottom of that lake, right, at some point, because because I am just not sure what I want to do. I've not decided to commit fully. Listen, moms, dads, you want to teach your kids, be in. Be in fully. Look at the next paragraph. He goes on to say, but the wisdom from above is first of all, say it with me, first of all what? That means it's committed. It's in. It doesn't mean you don't make mistakes, but I am fully committed. It's also peace-loving and gentle at all times. Catch this, willing to yield to others. That doesn't mean that you just do what everyone wants. That means you are willing to recognize that sometimes you're wrong. Sometimes you don't see it the way you should. And you're willing to listen to others. It's kind of like the golfer listening to his caddy. Okay, you're right. I'm thinking about other things. I need to be fully committed to the shot. Forget everything else. I need to be in. Willing to yield to others. He says, it is, I love this, he says, it is full of mercy and good deeds. We'll get to that part in just a minute. It shows no favoritism and is always sincere. And those who are peacemakers will plant seeds of peace. And then what happens when you plant? They will reap a harvest of righteousness. This is what he's saying. Listen, fully committed, because what you plant, you will also, let me say this again. Fully committed because what you plant, you will also, yeah, absolutely. Of course you will. So if you're not fully committed, if you're not in, if you're just half-hearted, if you're just saying, well, I'm not going to really try because I want to see how it works out first. Well, I can tell you how it's going to work out. It's not going to work out very well because you're not in. You're not giving it your best shot. You give it your best shot knowing that what you plant, you'll reap. Doesn't mean everything is perfect, everything works out the way you want it to. It just means I'm in, God. I trust you. That's exactly what you're going to reap in life. Here's the third thing. Mercy. I told you we'd get back to this. Mercy, which is what you want to plant in your kids' lives. Mercy is more concerned about what is needed than what is deserved. Mercy is more concerned about what is needed than what is deserved. Show mercy to your children. Be more concerned about what is needed in their life rather than what is deserved. I'll have people that come up to me and they'll say, I want what I deserve. And I always like to say, no, you don't. You only mean on the things that you think someone has been unfair to you. But you want God's mercy in your life. There was the old story of the painter who painted a picture of some wealthy woman, and she came back and she looked at it and she didn't like it. She said, this does not make me look like I want to look. He said, oh, okay. So you didn't want a painting that looked like you. You wanted mercy. You wanted to look like something you weren't. That's what you wanted me to paint for you. Right. Mercy gives what is needed. Mercy is the way it is because it realizes that love is absolutely context-driven. It's the context of the relationship. You give to your kids what they need, not always what they deserve. You give to your kids what will make them stronger and what will make them better, and this is exactly what God does to us. Look at in chapter number 2, it says this in verse 12, in everything you say and do, remember that you will be judged. Now I want you to catch this. This is James calling out to them. You will be judged by the law that what? Makes people, say it with me. That's a different law. That's not giving everybody what they deserved. It goes back to his idea of mercy. You will be judged by the law that makes people free. That's how God has decided to judge you. That's what he gives to you. So because of that, he says, so you must show mercy to others. You must also then give what people need. You must be merciful. And catch this. In fact, you might not like this part. He says, or God will not show mercy to you when he judges you. Now, wait a minute, Steve. That sounds like conditional love. It's not conditional love. God unconditionally loves us. But he is saying, is mercy conditional? It is in some aspects. Yes, it is. God extends mercy to us. But God also expects that mercy has been extended to you, so you will commit to the shot and you will realize, therefore, I will extend mercy to those around me. Remember Jesus' story of the man who owed a rich king who invested in him? He owed him millions of dollars, and he couldn't pay, and it was time to pay. And the king called him in, and he says, hey, it's time to pay. He says, I can't. He says, okay, here's the law. You go to jail, you spend the rest of your life in hard labor, and your family goes to jail also. But it said then the king felt compassion on the man. His heart broke for the man, and he extended mercy to him, and he forgave him the debt. However, it says that some of the other people that worked for the king came back later and says, you know what he did? He went right back out. He found somebody that owed him $1,000. That's all. The man could not pay. He had the man thrown in jail and his family into forced labor until they paid it all back. And the king was furious. He said, bring him back. In those days, you could do that. Bring him back. I unforgive your debt. No mercy, because you have shown no mercy. Now, I know you think, but again, doesn't that sound like His love is not? No, God's love is conditional. I mean, it is unconditional. But God, His unconditional love says, I'm not going to just cover everything for you. You've got to learn some things. And you have to know what real love and real mercy is. And if you catch it, if you understand what real mercy is, guess what you do? If you've been forgiven a gigantic debt, guess what you do? You forgive. Because you say, if you only knew the debt that I was forgiven, you would know why I'm able to do this. It has to make some sort of change in our life. It's a transformational thing that occurs in us, that we don't see it the same way. We don't look at somebody and say, well, he deserves. We realize, yeah, and I deserve. And so we show compassion and mercy. It doesn't mean that there isn't justice in the world. It doesn't mean that if you're a mom or a dad that you don't ask your kids. It's the very opposite. But it's a different law that governs, how you're going to love them and how you're going to treat them. And then he goes on to say this, but the person who shows mercy, I love this, can you say this with me? Can stand what? Without fear in the judgment. Why can they stand without fear in the judgment? Not because they deserve it all or they've done it all. You know what? Because they absolutely understand how merciful God is. And they know God is the one who has extended this great mercy and grace to them. And the righteousness that they stand in before God is because of what God has done for them. And it transforms them. It changes them. Listen, let me tell you something. If you and I are not transformed and changed by mercy and love, something's wrong. We didn't get it. There's a good chance if we're not transformed by mercy and love, we might not even belong to Him. It's not some free pass that God just says, hey, here, go to church, show up, be baptized, and therefore now go back and live any way you want and just live the way you've always, lived before. Be a totally self-centered, man. God's changing who we are. And we pass that on to our kids. Okay, here's number 4. Be real, be genuine, be healthy. I can't think of anything that will be more important for you to pass on to you, for you to build into your kids' lives, is that they see you as you really are. I love the old saying, people are impressed by what you achieve. People are impressed by your talents, your skills, your abilities, but they relate to your weaknesses. You become real to them when they see that you don't have everything worked out. You haven't got everything figured out. In fact, it's one of the things about raising kids, and if you have little kids, it happens a lot quicker than you think. You think, well, they can't figure me out, or, they're small, they're not very smart. Oh, it doesn't take long at all before they figure you out, right? They know exactly what's going on. They see the inconsistencies. They see your weaknesses. In fact, kids are amazing by instinct. They have the ability to take advantage of your weaknesses, right? As a parent. Sure they do. And it's important for you to be real, for you to be genuine. It's one of the things that, one of the reasons I did not want to become a pastor, just to let you know. I wasn't going to do it. And one of the reasons was because growing up, I noticed that people expected pastors to be perfect. They don't have any problems. They do everything right. And I noticed a lot of pastors pretend to be that way. And because of it, you don't ever get to know them. They keep you at a distance, because if you got to know them, you would realize they're not perfect. So if you've gotten to know me, you already know. I'm not perfect. And I don't pretend to be, because it would be a disservice to you to somehow think that God uses or only uses people that are perfect. There are no perfect people. I've met a few that think they are, but there are no perfect. I've met some that say, I don't do anything wrong. I don't sin. Kind of sounds like Donald Trump's statement. I don't need forgiveness. I don't ever do anything wrong. Well, it's because he doesn't understand what it means. Of course we need forgiveness. Of course we do things wrong. Of course we struggle. And your kids will figure it out. And they will know whether you are honest, whether you are genuine and real about your own mistakes and your faults. And when you are honest and real about those things, guess what else you get a chance to do? And you get to say, and here's how I got rescued. Here's what my Father, I told you there are no perfect people. There was one, right? Jesus. And he was perfect for us, but no one before him. Mary was not perfect. Sorry to burst some people's bubbles. Peter was not perfect. Just read the book of Acts. Paul was not perfect. He'll tell you he wasn't perfect. Moses was not perfect. Moses had a lot of problems. David had even more problems than Moses. See, God loves to use people who are willing to admit that they're not perfect. He loves to use people who will be real and genuine. I don't mean you have to stand up in front of church and tell all your sins. Don't do that. I don't want to hear it, to be honest with you. But the people that know you, your friends, the people that are close, they will see it. And when you're real and honest, that's how they relate to you. Look at what it says in Corinthians. Paul writing, he says this, "But we have turned away from secret and shameful ways." You know what that means? That means ways that we disguise, hide, pretend. He says, "We use no trickery, and we do not change the teaching of God." Because God says you're not perfect, just let you know. We teach the truth plainly, showing everyone, I love this part, showing everyone who they get to see us as we really are. That was the way the apostles, the early teachers, it's the way they did it. They lived very real lives. Then, he says, they can know in their hearts what kind of people we are in God's sight, because it draws the contrast to what God has done. Here's number 5. Your words really matter. I know Brian, 2 weeks ago, Brian spent a lot of time talking about your words matter. I'm sorry, and Todd then last week also talked about how important your words are. So I won't try to go through all the things that they went through, but you want your kids to understand your words matter. The things they say, they really do matter. They make an impression. Parents, your words matter with your kids. They are a big deal. Look at what it says in James chapter 3, verse 2. It says, "For we all stumble in many ways. If anyone does not stumble in what he," say it with me, now he's putting a premium on this. He is a perfect man. That means he has become mature. He has become complete. Able to bridle the whole body as well. And it's a great, example that he uses. How do you control a big, powerful, you saw the Kentucky Derby, anybody yesterday? How do you control a beast like that, right? An animal that is so powerful. How do they control it? They put something in his mouth. That's how they control him. And it's amazing that the mouth, his words, it's a picture that James says of your words control the power of who you are. And it's just one of those things you have to go back and listen to Todd if you want to catch all of it, but it is true. And he says in chapter 1, James says, if you claim to be religious but don't control your tongue, the things you say, he says, you're just fooling yourself. And your religion is worthless. Here's number 6. Learn to listen. Really listen, right? More than you speak. And also learn not to use adverbs to make your point, as in the last 2 points, really, 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 really. But you really, 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 really need to learn to listen. It's if you can build this into your kid, don't speak so much. Listen. You get a chance to understand. You get a chance to make a difference in people's lives because you understand them, you listen to them. I've always loved this verse out of chapter 1. In fact, I think it's a great memory verse for you. It will help you as far as people are concerned. If you will just catch this, he says, but this is a New American Standard because this is what I memorize out of. He says, but everyone must be, say it with me, must be quick to hear, they must be slow to speak, and they must be, say it with me again, everyone must be quick to hear, slow to speak, and he gives the reason for it. He says, for the anger of man does not achieve or does not accomplish the righteousness of God. It just doesn't do it. And we jump to anger so quickly, wanting to change things, wanting to make things, work. And we just need to be slow to speak, quick to listen, slow to become angry. The old thing that your mom may have taught you that she certainly taught us, before you say anything, count to 10. And because now all of a sudden, just that brief time makes you rethink what you say before you say something and before you do something that you are later going to regret. But in the moment, you felt justified in saying and justified in doing it. Let me give you the final one. I think this was really important for your kids to catch and to understand, really important for you. Marvel at the story of Rahab. Marvel at the story of Rahab. Rahab's story is in the book of James. You'll also find Rahab mentioned in the book of Hebrews in the 11th chapter, where it actually is what is called the roll call of faith. These were the ones that God was so pleased with. And you'll find Rahab's story in Joshua also. Listen to what James says. He says, Rahab, let me say it, the prostitute, some of your translations say the harlot, is another example. She was shown to be right with God by her actions when she hid those messengers and sent them safely away by a different road. Just as the body is dead without breath, so also faith is dead without good works. And let me tell you why Rahab's story is so important for your kids. They're going to mess up. Your kids are going to disappoint. In fact, your kids are going to disappoint themselves. And they're going to feel like it's over. There is no hope. There is no chance, no change, for me. And it's just not true. And when you look at the story of someone like Rahab, who is called one of the champions of faith, she's a prostitute, she's a harlot. She lives in the city of Jericho, and it's in the Old Testament time when they're getting ready to take Jericho. And so Joshua sends spies into Jericho. He says, I want you to spy out the land, figure out how we're going to, or the city, and figure out how we're going to take it. Because Jericho was an impenetrable city. And so as the spies go in, they're trying to be incognito, and so they go and they stay at the house of a prostitute, a harlot. Her name was Rahab. Now, it seemed like that was a good idea because men were always showing up and staying there. So it was a good cover for them. And so as they go there, the men, somebody tells on them, says, hey, these two spies have come in from outside. They want to take the city. And so they come to Rahab's place, her house, and they come looking for them, and she hides them. She protects them. And then when she sends away the soldiers there of Jericho in a different direction, she lets them out the window of her house over the wall so that they can be released, and tells them how to get away. And then she says, but don't forget about me. Don't forget about me. Remember me. And there was something that was going on in Rahab's life that just said hope, that just said there's another way out except for the way I have lived my life. And let me read for you. It's not going to pop up on the screen, but this is what it says. These are her words to these men. These are great words. This is Joshua 2, beginning in verse number 8, and then really beginning in verse number 9. This is what it says. She said to the men, the two spies, I know that the Lord has given you the land. That means our city. And that the terror of you has fallen on us. And that all the inhabitants of the land have melted away before you, meaning the Hebrews who have come. And she goes ahead and explains why. For we hear of how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea before you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to the two kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan, whom you utterly destroyed. Verse 11, when we heard it, our hearts melted, and no courage remained in any man any longer because of you. For, now here's her reason, for the Lord your God, He is the God of heaven above and the earth below. Listen, if you will teach your kids who God is, they will recognize that even with their failures, just like with us, with our failures, there's a God who rescues. And there's a God who is bigger and more powerful even than the failures that we have. And there's a God who wants us. He desires us, no matter what they have done, no matter what mistakes they have made. Listen, we've all made mistakes. We all make major mistakes. And yet it is God who rescues us. You want to build the same thing into your kid. It will not make them weaker. It will make them stronger. It will fill them with hope and courage. It will give them strength to be like Rahab and to stand, even in the midst of her own city against those who would try to destroy, these who came from Israel. She stood with them because of who God was. You want to build values in the community? You want to build values in the culture? Build values into your kids. Cause them to look to God and realize that God is the one, He's the one who rescues us. Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we thank you that you have this incredible love for us. And you make incredible plans for us because you're the one who created us and you're the one who gave us life. And Lord, as we look to you with our lives, one of the greatest privileges that we have is to be real people, genuine people, who put our hope and our trust in you, and then to pass on, to hand down that same hope, that same faith, to learn your kind of love, your kind of compassion, to learn what mercy really means and the change that mercy brings in our lives. If you're here this morning, you've never committed to the shot. Never fully said, Lord, I want to know you. I want to follow you. I want you to teach me. I want to be the man or the woman. I want to be the husband, the wife. I want to be the father, the mother. I want to be the young boy, I want to be the one that you want me to be, that you made me to be. So I'm in. I will fail. I understand that. I will mess up. I know I will need your correction. I know I will need other people who love me and care for me also. But I'm so thankful that I know I have you. That the one who gave me life also sent his son Jesus into the world to rescue and redeem my life so that my life would not be lost. It would not be wasted. But so that I could find and follow and fulfill the plans that you have for me. In Jesus' name we pray.